Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here, and welcome to another episode of Road to Partyhat. Now in today's episode, we have a huge variety of content and some giant drops as well, so make sure you stay tuned for it all. Zuck was also just released 2 weeks ago, so we have some Zuck content, but also we have some Archglacior, some Solok, some Carapac, and even some Croesus, so a huge variety, and in my opinion, a very entertaining episode. If you like this series, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another episode, and you can find all the episodes on the Road to Partyhat playlist on my channel. Now I also quickly want to address the elephant in the room, which is the golden party hat. So Jagex just announced that they are coming out with a new golden party hat for the 20th anniversary of Runescape, and it will be released next week and will be tradable. And as you know, my series is Road to Partyhat, and I did want to come out and say that I will not be counting the golden party hat as the end to this series. More than likely it won't be billions of GP, and we'll probably be able to buy it as soon as it's released, and although I can see it being very expensive one day long in the future, the ultimate goal for this series was try to make a ton of money, like 20 or 30 build up our account, and achieve one of the original party hats, so that's what we're going to stick to. However, I will be trying to grind the golden party hat for fun with you guys as well, so I'm excited that all of you have the opportunity to get your hands on one too. But when it comes to this series, it's much more about the journey than the destination. So let's get into a really awesome episode. So first, it seems as tradition, we start off with the giant oyster. And what? We actually got something good from the giant oyster. We got an amulet of Fury Tea and some puzzle skipping tickets, which go for an insane amount for some reason, for a total of 7 mil. This is probably the best loot that I've ever gotten from the giant oyster, and maybe he's working his way up to finally giving us a die next month. Make sure you always do your giant oyster, guys. So after this, we started off with some Archglacior, and as you guys know, I am only a frozen core of laying off getting the complete log. So this one I really wanted to complete, and after getting Silver Iceborne last episode, I decided I would do some streaking at the Glacior, and if you've watched any of my streams I've been doing again recently on YouTube, you know we did a ton of medium-sized streaks trying to get the frozen core of laying, but to no avail. However, we did actually end up getting a Scripture of Len drop, which is the second best drop that you can get from the Archglacior, and it sells for like 130 mil as of recording, which honestly is not a bad drop considering you could get something like the Laying Artifact, which doesn't sell for much at all, so I ended up claiming this just because I didn't care to continue streaking. And after this, I decided even though we didn't have the core and log complete yet, I felt like it was time to finally sell my giant loot tab of Glacior common loots. I was running pretty low on money, and I felt with double XP approaching when I recorded this section that it would be a great time to sell all the loot, as things like these summoning focuses and stuff had gone up a good bit in price. So this massive loot tab was a culmination of doing the Archglacior since release, and was probably around 700 or so kills in commons from streaking basically as high as I could or until I died. I ended up selling all the loot, and in total from this loot we made 1 billion GP from just the common drops from the Archglacior, and there were a few tier 85 offhands, but they didn't sell for that much, so this isn't including the core that we previously got or any of the Nihilists we have, just basically one Scripture and all the commons, so this was really good money, and goes to show that streaking the Glacior really high can get you a ton of great common drops. So after this, I actually did do a from scratch challenge on my channel that some of you may have seen, and I decided to do some revenants during it. And I didn't expect this, but something absolutely crazy happened. We ended up, in typical Nuzz fashion, getting a Statius Warhammer drop from the Revenant Imp. Yes, you heard me right, a Revenant Imp. I was absolutely losing my mind at this point, because the Imp rarely drops anything, let alone the best drop you can get from Revenants. This was just crazy. I got out of there as fast as I could, and I think I ended up selling the Statius Warhammer for around 180 mil mil, which was a decent bit of cash added to our bank. And yeah, this was just an unexpected drop, especially because I don't do revenants much on this series. But hey, I will definitely take the loot, and I got super lucky here. Now, as I said before, Zuck was just released, so we ended up trying to kill some Zuck on the day of release, and I basically decided to stick to normal mode Zuck because I didn't want to make the plunge into hard mode just yet. But don't worry, next episode we'll probably end up having some hard mode. So we did a lot of normal mode kills, and I actually ended up enjoying the boss quite a bit. I would say it's pretty similar to how elite dungeons work in the way that you have to kill mobs to get to the final boss. I do also like how the loot accumulates in a chest, and it seems to be pretty decent normal drops. However, the boss does get a bit tedious, just seeing as you have to constantly go through all the waves over and over. It's hard for me to kill the boss for more than a few hours at a time, so I don't think it's something that I'll be camping constantly for 10 hours a day, but more of doing a few hours each day to get kills over time. Now, the loot was actually decent for normal mode, and I have a loot tab in my bank that is currently accumulating, as you can see, and I'm hoping to save this one up until we have the whole log complete. So it's safe to say it's going to take a long time, but it should be an absolutely giant loot tab by the end of it. So in total at Zuck, we ended up doing 58 normal mode kills, and although we did not get any unique drops, since I did those kills, Jagex actually decided to buff the drop rates at Zuck, so I'm hoping next episode we will have some big drops to show for it. But all in all, Zuck was actually a pretty fun release, and I definitely enjoyed my time there, and hopefully I'll knock out some hard mode in the next episode. So as I mentioned at the start, we did do a bit of Croesus with my two friends, and we ended up doing some trio kills, which I know it's not optimal, but we were trying to learn the boss together, and it was actually a pretty fun time. We ended up getting it down, and we got around 8-minute kills, and although none of us got any rare drops, the loot from Croesus was actually much better than I expected. I ended up getting around 13 mil for like an hour and a half or so, but also the resonant anima of Bix sells for like 25 to 30k each now, so we got like another 7 mil from that, so basically like 20 plus mil in an hour and a half from just normal drops for a skilling boss was actually really surprising, and hopefully I'll start trying to get some big items like the Crypt Bloom or things like that, because Crypt Bloom is going for a ton right now. Now, I mentioned Solok in the beginning of the video, and yes, we did do some Solok, which I haven't done in a long time, like probably a year, and although our kills weren't super fast, I was kind of trying to reteach myself the boss, and I'm happy to say we did get some successful trio kills. We didn't get any crazy loot because we only did like an hour, but I was happy to finally get myself some KC at Solok again and kind of relearn the basics, and hopefully in the future we can start really grinding it out again to try to complete the log or get those Blightbound crossbows, because they're going for a ton right now as well. Now for the next clip, I'd like to give a little bit of context. Back in my previous Road to Partyhat episode when Carapac came out, I think it was episode 19, you'll know that I did around 400 duo Carapac kills or so with no drops except Carapac's wrist wraps, no splits either. It kind of became a meme because all I got with my duo partner was wrist wraps. Well, my duo partner actually after that ended up going 1.2k kills dry. He did around 500 plus kills duo with me, and then most of his other kills were either solo or duo with somebody else, and he got no staff splits at all, none in his name and none for his partners, or none solo. So as I said with Zuck, Jagex actually buffed the drop rates with Carapac as well for the staff pieces, so we ended up trying to give it another shot. And yes, as you probably expected, oh my gosh, on the last kill of our hour, it finally happened. We got the fractured staff of Armnil piece, 1/3 of the staff. My friend got it in his name as his drop, which I was completely fine with and happy for him, seeing as he grinded so many kills, 1.2k without a split. And as you can see by the chat box and us typing, we were freaking out. It had been such a long grind, especially for him, and he had been grinding for so long, and I also had never seen a drop at Carapac other than wrist wraps and like 500 plus kills, so I never got a codex or scripture or anything like that, so this was my first drop as well, and this was just a long time coming, and we were so happy to finally get it. Now, he ended up selling the staff piece for around 2 billion GP, and that gave us a huge 1 billion GP split, which I believe was our biggest split yet during this series. And also with selling our Glacier tab and getting the stat hammer, this episode we made over like max cash, which is just amazing. And yeah, this was just a great drop to get, and it's one that's been a long time coming, especially for him, so I'm so happy we ended up finally getting it. So now we're gonna look at my bank value, what we earned this episode, and some other stuff. So I think last episode we were around 6 bill or so, if I'm not mistaken, and if we look at the wealth evaluator now, we are at 8 billion GP, so a huge gain from last episode. I actually didn't know it was that high. I thought it was around 7.5 bill, but we made a ton of money this episode, and we're starting to actually ramp up the gains to more and more money each episode. As you can see in our cash pouch, we have like, what is it, 2 bill and 89 mil, so we're close to having just max cash in our cash pouch alone. And then if we look at the bank here, our gear tab hasn't changed too much. We still have basically the same setup. We still have the SGB. We've got all our gear basically, and then in the loot tabs, we've actually been building up the Glacier tab again. So we do have some commons again in here. We have 42 Dark Nylas just waiting to get the core, so hoping to get that. This is the loot tab of just kind of Carapax wrist wraps, random stuff from Carapax, from Croesus as well. So pretty decent stuff here. And then, like I said before, we have the Zuck tab, which is starting to build up some loot as well. So hopefully this will be even bigger for next episode. And then if we look at our boss logs here, the Arch Glacier, we have 1,241 hard mode kills. We have unlocked Silver Iceborne, and all we need is that last tier 95, so we're just hunting that frozen core of Lang. I hope to get that next episode. I really hope to. And then if we look at Carapax here, we have the 5 wrist straps and the Carapax pet, so probably we'll be doing some more of that duo since they buffed the rates. And then of course we have Zuck, and then also Solok. I thought I'd show this. We just have pages, but we're still trying to get into that again, so I'm hoping to have more of that for next episode. But yeah, what do you guys think I should buy with the max cash stack? Should I sell my Ascensions and buy the Eldritch Crossbow finally? Should I buy Blight Bounce instead and then wait for the Eldritch Crossbow? Do you think I should get a Mage setup? What do you guys think? I'd love to know, and we'll be looking at some huge upgrades in the next episode. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Next episode will probably come in about a week and a half. I'm gonna try to put it out soon because I already do have some clips. So make sure you subscribe for that, and make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Thanks for 18K subscribers, by the way. Kind of a little late on that, but thank you guys so much. You made this month my biggest month on YouTube ever. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode.